everyone, and welcome to Touching All Bases' first episode of the semester. I am your host and panelist, Katie Pfeffer, joined alongside Kaden Hughes, Riley Morgan, Drew Landon, and Jackson Cash. Tonight, we're diving into the biggest MLB signings and trades that happened over winter break, as well as where we think the biggest unsigned free agents will sign, and of course, a fan favorite segment, Buy or Sell. But without further ado, let's get started because a lot has happened since last semester and we do not want to break the Tigervision record again for the longest episode. Our first segment is Deal or No Deal, where we will talk about the free agents, some who have made deals and some who still have no deals. Kaden, who's our first free agent?
The biggest one. We're talking about Juan Soto to start.
Juan Soto.
Thanks, Brian. Juan Soto signed a 15-year deal, $765 million with the Mets. What are y'all's thoughts?
I'll have to go last if I can.
I'll go first. How far back does your guys' baseball knowledge go? 90?
24.
I'd say like
I was mainly asking you.
I'd say like 2016, 2017.
Okay, well.
But like a lot of knowledge.
Okay, well, this is gonna be boring. Mine is from the 90s.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
Mets built
Okay.
the Mets built a super team in 1992, and they splashed a big ton of money onto big players. You want to guess what their record was? Take a guess.
72 and 90.
Wow, Riley, you hit it right on the
I got a
money.
lot of knowledge.
Drew,
I got
Drew,
a lot
Drew.
of
Can
knowledge.
I ask you really quick, who won the 1995 World Series?
Obviously nobody.
The Atlanta Braves. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
They're
you.
nobodies, don't matter.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter. Anyways, they went negative with a super squad and were 18 games off 500. It got so bad that the Mets owners had each player on the team signing an apology. That season
Sounds like the White Sox.
Yeah.
Sounds like the White
sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Players, but Paul, that's worse. The owner at least was
Except
like,
the White Sox didn't even sign good players.
Yeah.
So,
And you
even worse.
You would think with a super squad it would get better the year after, right? No, their pitcher had a 27 straight loss streak
That's
in
pretty good.
1993. That is pretty good. They finished 59 and 103.
Oh.
38 games off. So,
Wow.
Mets fans out there, no, don't get your hopes up. Yes, you, the one Mets fan sitting at home, if there is one right now watching this, don't get too excited just yet, or you'll catch the 1993 and 1994 bug yet again. That's my spiel.
Yep. That was
I mean,
pretty
I
good.
just have to say, these deals are getting out of hand.
Absolutely.
$765 million for Juan Soto. And, don't get me wrong, Juan Soto is obviously a great player. But I think we talked about this when we saw, last semester that Juan Soto's deals were likely getting in the $600 million, $700 million range. And we were like, there's no way he can get a bigger deal than Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is a once-in-a-lifetime unicorn player. Juan Soto, who is a great player. I'm not saying Juan Soto is a bad player. He just should not be making more than Ohtani. It's crazy to me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree. This is an overpay of a lifetime, probably biggest overpay in the history of the MLB. Definitely. Definitely. But, no reason he gets more than Ohtani I would argue that he'll be a DH in about 3 years. He's awful on defense. He was nominated for a Golden Glove this year, but amongst terrible AL defenders. So I don't even count that. But this really does concern me with the future of free agency.
Yes.
Especially with our own Ronald Acuna Jr., who's going to be coming up free agent in about 3-4 years. What is he going to get? What are the Braves going to have to do if we want to re-sign him? It really does concern me. I don't know if we'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
I really hope the market learns from this because
There's no way they do.
It's not going to.
They're not. It's just,
The only way that it will get better is if there's a salary cap in baseball.
Absolutely.
yeah.
absolutely.
But it's one of those things where it's like when it's hypothetical, you're like, don't do it. And then Acuna's expiring, and we're watching Ronald Acuna have a great season, and then we're like, I want to keep him. Let's just sign him.
I mean-
That's what happens. I'm not saying we would do that, but the Braves organization.
The only thing that would keep
think we'll give him
Acuna
12
from getting
years.
that kind of deal is his 2 blown ACLs, but he's still a great player. But the other stars like Tatis, other stars like that, they see that Juan Soto deal, they're going to be like, wait, I may be better than Soto. Am I going to get that deal? I'm going to demand that deal whenever I hit free agency. So every star, they saw that deal, and they're going to be like, that could be me. I want that deal.
I will say, though, just real quick, it just piggybacks off this a little bit. I did a little bit of digging. This isn't new. This isn't an unprecedented thing in the MLB. Like, inflation has increased, and obviously throughout the years and stuff. But I look back in the last 24 years of baseball, and so right now Juan Soto's contract, I forget what it was exactly, but it's 1% of the entire MLB payroll. So all money that's going to players, 1% goes to Juan Soto, which is way too much. Okay. In 2016, Clayton Kershaw was the highest paid player. He was getting about 0.9%. In 2008, Rodriguez, I don't remember his first name.
Alex,
maybe. But he was making 28 mil, which is 1.5%. And in 2000, Kevin Brown was making 1% exactly. So they've always paid, the top player has always gotten the same. It's just due to inflation. Now, Juan Soto isn't the best player in baseball.
No.
And 15 years is too much. So I'm not saying it's a good deal. I'm just saying this has always been the case. It's not like the league is changing and we're paying the big stars way more than we used to. It's just we're paying everyone more.
Yeah,
but it's always been a problem and it still is.
But I think the overall baseball market is just inflating way too quickly.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
Really
there's
quickly.
inflation happening in the real world outside of baseball, but it's increasing at a much slower rate than baseball.
we went from a $330 million deal to a year later $700
Yeah.
for Shohei Ohtani.
I mean,
and now we're going to
everyone
$765.
thought it was crazy when Juan Soto did not accept the 15-year, $440 million deal from the Nationals. Everyone thought he was insane. And here he is
Great
making
call.
$300 million more dollars
Good for
than
him.
that.
That's arguably one
Good
of
for
the
him.
best
Other
decisions he's made in his career.
other players are going to be like, oh, okay, so that I can get that too.
I feel like in 4 years, Ohtani's going to look at his deal like crap.
Yeah.
And which is an insane contract. It's crazy how much it changes.
I mean, Soto signed for 15 years, but he has an opt-out after, 5 years? I think he'll be gone after that.
Yeah,
those
he'll
5
be gone
years.
after 5 years. 'cause
And
there's
then-
no way the Mets could keep it up for that long because they've been known to.
Yeah,
have
let's talk about the
consistent
Mets
flaky
roster.
years.
Let's
We
talk
should have
about-
just became baseball players instead of done sports communications. I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's what I'm learning.
I agree.
Honestly, from this just entire debacle, there is no winners, I think, in this scenario. I think the Mets and free agency lost big time because the market, next offseason, about to explode with huge players, especially Acuna. He's probably going to ask for
I feel like it exploded
a
this
whole
year.
ton.
It's going to explode again next year, the year after that. It's just constant explosion.
Yeah, I feel like over
We're
the
going to
past,
hit $1 billion
I feel like
soon.
Over the
going to
past
hit $1 billion.
5 years, though,
That's really
Acuna
bad.
could hit $1 billion.
I would not.
That's
be
really
surprised.
bad.
I would not be
Yeah.
surprised if someone's paid $1 billion in less than 10 years.
It might
I
be
really
Tatis.
would.
No.
Fine.
No, not at
3
all.
years, I feel like.
Honestly.
Think about 3 years ago to now. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, $400 million contracts were huge. It seems like a week ago from what I remember. But, and now a $400 million contract, you're like, it's a pretty good contract.
It's literally like 10
Max
years,
Fried
like in
got 200.
2010, like $765 million would be like a whole team payroll. Now it's one guy. And like I said earlier about the free agency losing, the Mets are losing this as well. Because let's be real, the Mets did not need Soto. That was a reach for them. That's not what they needed to fix. That rotation is abysmal.
Worst rotation I've ever
Oh,
seen.
so
They
bad.
spend money on rotation.
Genuinely,
They could
it's
get
a bunch
good
of guys
rotation
that
with
are
money.
like the backup guys in rotation for other teams.
Clay Holmes.
Clay Holmes.
Good luck with Clay Holmes, Mets fans.
Clay Holmes.
I ship
We-
him to you gladly.
We are in 2025 converting Clay Holmes to a starter for the Mets. That's just not
The
going to work
Mets
out.
insane.
fixed nothing. Their rotation is very questionable. Diaz, can he return to form to save that bullpen? I highly doubt that. 'cause
Go ahead
last
and put
season
him as
was
a
not
starter.
that great.
Go ahead and start
Exactly.
him.
And then their infield
Over
is
Clay
in
Holmes, too.
trouble.
Soto pitch?
Yeah, he might as
We're paying you
well.
this much money. All right, you're going to
We
pay
might
him
as
now.
well.
Shohei can, then why
Yeah,
can't he?
yeah. If
If
you're
he's
paying
getting
him
paid?
Shohei
Like-
money, he needs to pitch too.
Yeah.
I don't know. He needs to pitch, coach,
If he starts pitching, I like the deal. It's a good deal.
If they're paying him Shohei money, he needs to play the infield. Because if you've seen the Mets infield, it is legitimately
Pitching's on the
horrible.
infield.
I
They
want to
can do
go
both.
ahead and just go over. Here are the infielders
Current.
for the Mets. The current infielders on the roster for the Mets. They got Acuna's younger brother, Brett Beatty, Luis De Los Santos, Francisco Lindor. That's a bright spot. But the rest of those guys
not
outside
right
of
now.
Jeff McNeil and Vientos, who had a spectacular playoff,
Won't
now
carry on.
they're playing a very questionable infield because at first base, currently on their roster, the only first baseman they have is Mark Vientos.
Would Ben Rice, where would he be on the
Trade.
infield? Would he be in the middle?
Trade.
Would he be the bottom of them?
No, he'd
where
be starting.
Mets infield, would Ben Rice start?
Ben Rice will be starting.
We got to
Starting.
get him on the Mets, man.
Well, here's the thing: they don't have a
he
third
torches the
baseman
Yankees.
now because now Vientos is going to
Brett Beatty.
to be the
is gonna
only
be their
first baseman,
starting
and they're
third
going to put
baseman.
Brett Beatty in with we'll get on this later about the Mets even more of their struggles, but yeah.
Well, before we talk too much about the Mets, until we get to talk more about it later in the segment, let's move on to our next big free agent signing, which was Max Fried, who signed with the Yankees, 8 years, $218 million.
I will start
Hurt.
this out.
This one hurt.
Yeah, this one, It's honestly a huge loss for the Braves organization and the Braves fan. We have gone through a lot with Fried over the past few years, and personally, he became one of my favorite players when I was younger. So it definitely hurts to see him go, and especially with all we accomplished with him at the helm. I mean, he was our ace for years when our rotation was struggling outside of him. So to see him go is kind of bad for the rest of us, but the Yankees, that's a good pickup for them. That's a really good one. The Yankees already got a pretty good rotation, and to pick up Fried, I'd say that's better.
8 years,
You like
Jackson?
the deal?
Yeah,
8
I don't.
years?
I'm gonna have to disagree.
You
Yeah,
give
I
him,
don't like
you
the
give him
deal.
8 years?
That's
I would give him 8 years. I would give him
for-
8 years. I'd give him
Well, they
half of
did.
that, but I still think it's a good rotation to get into a World Series.
No.
So,
I disagree.
first of all, it's the largest contract ever given to a left-handed pitcher in MLB history, which I think is pretty interesting. His 5.1 ERA in 20 postseason games, I think, does match the Yankees' culture. So I think there is of course that element. Yeah. I love the offseason in all sports, and I love to follow patterns and just because teams make the same mistake every single year. And I think things that you like to see, or things that you notice, that you're kind of like, let's not fall into these traps, okay? Is you don't want to sign a 30-year-old to a long-term deal. You don't want to sign an injury-prone player just because he was healthy on his contract year, and you don't want to don't sign a player that regresses when they turn 30 years old and stuff. And he did have a little bit of a down year this year. At most, this is a great deal for 2 years, I think, and a bad deal for 6. I think that's best case scenario. I don't see a world where for a majority of the contract, that's 5 years. I don't see a world where for the next 5 years, Max Fried is making what he's getting.
I think
there's a better chance you get.
Let me correct you real quick.
Okay.
This man is 38.
Max Fried is not
Max
38.
Fried is
His
not
contract will
38,
expire
dude.
when he's 38 years
Yes,
old.
expire.
that's a
when
little
he's 38.
Brian call. That's on me. On me.
Yeah, what's he up to? Come on, man.
Ryan, he's 30.
Brian, do your thing.
He's on his phone.
Ah, he's stimming.
Still down. Everybody left.
No,
Sorry, Braves fans. I don't really care about your team.
I just want to
It's
say.
your team's player.
I just want to say I love Max Fried. I loved him. I do agree he regressed this season. He made me very mad a lot of times. But it's not a good contract for a 30-year-old, and he's on the brink of a second Tommy John surgery, if you ask me. He's had Tommy John when he was 20, and then he had an arm issue, I think, last season. He's had blister issues. He's had hamstring issues. That's kept him out for months at a time over the past few years. And I just think 8 years for that and that kind of money for that, I'm glad the Braves didn't do it.
Some pitchers
I
are
think
30, they play like they're 34, and he's one of those.
Yeah.
Once they hit 30, it's like they're
I
36.
mean, he's never been like a high velocity type pitcher. He's more of like a breaking
filth,
ball,
yeah.
more pitcher. Yeah.
I think the player is good. I think because we got rid of Nestor Cortez, and he was also that kind of player.
He's
He
a
was
good
a breaking
replacement.
ball. So it's a really good one-for-one switch with Nestor Cortez
A bit too
and
expensive.
Stroman as well. Yeah, I agree. Max Fried said that in an interview, he said that there is a little bit in the tank left for me. Hopefully, I can keep improving and improve my ball speeds and my ball movement. So I believe it's a good deal, but I think 8 years is a lot to ask out of Max Fried at 30.
But I mean,
the contract's a lot, but honestly, when you're getting rid of Cortez and you're adding Fried, I think it's still a very good trade-off. Like you got rid of
I
one
agree.
guy. He's not going to be the ace of that rotation. Absolutely
Garrett
not.
Cole.
Garrett Cole, or even once Cole's gone, Luis Gil is going to take over as that starting guy. So to keep Fried just in that rotation, I think is really good because probably their 4 starting pitchers in their rotation at the beginning of the year is going to be Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon probably, Max Fried, and Luis Gil. That's a good, strong, solid 4. Now, of course, Schmidt and Stroman, the other guys, that's a little questionable with Stroman in missing the entire playoffs. So, I mean, it's questionable, but Fried being in there helps their rotation out.
Schmidt's not an awful pitcher. I like him being the 5. He's like a reliable 5 for sure. I don't know. I don't have anything else to add. Katie, do you have anything?
no, let's move on. I think we've covered everything about that deal. Next, we have another pitcher that left the Braves, Charlie Morton. He went to the Orioles on a one-year deal.
Yes.
For Hey! And I think that you're excited about this.
Why do we
That's what
keep
I'm
paying
sensing.
him for 1 year? Every single, for
He
3
still
straight years?
squeezed out $15 million Orioles, what are we doing here? What are y'all doing?
Yeah, this
We will never
signing.
see $15 million our entire life. Charlie Morton just got that.
He's just not that good.
I
not
could
that good.
honestly.
He was our 4, maybe 5 last season, and he wasn't.
Yeah,
that
he
good.
wasn't even like our top. He wasn't even like top 3
Absolutely
at best.
not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, this signing for the Orioles just made me so upset. I had so much faith in the Orioles. It was like
Picked them to
this.
win the AL.
This past summer, I was like, I think they could be a sneaky World Series team. And then, obviously don't win the World
Burns
Series.
for
And
Morton.
then I think, Riley, you predicted them to win the 2025 World Series, right?
Yeah, don't let
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, you did.
2024.
Yeah, you did.
I
No,
think
for this
No,
year.
it was 2025.
I picked them to win.
Oh, yeah, you did do that, too.
Oh, yeah, you
I
went
did
back to
not.
back.
I did not
I
do
remember
that.
that. She
I
did.
said Dodgers. I
She
said
did.
Dodgers repeat.
No, we can pull up the clip.
Okay, pull it up. I said Dodgers repeat.
Zach, you got the clip up, right?
I say Dodgers repeat. Yep.
Y'all don't have all the clips in our.
But no, being serious, like the Orioles just, they traded away Corbin Burns and they were like, oh, we'll get Charlie Morton, like Burns and Morton, like, good trade-off. No. And it's really upsetting because I wanted the Orioles to be good and they have so much potential. They just need to sign a few more pieces, but they just are not. And honestly, like the way that the market's going, they probably can't.
Yeah.
Which that's why we need a salary cap.
They're a poster child for a really good, smart franchise that just doesn't have the big market to be competitive, and it's really
Do
sad.
they still have a farm? Because I know their farm was that's what they.
I think their farm is
built
all up now.
Yeah,
They're gonna
that's what I'm worried about too.
One of the two things.
Actually have a really good farm still. I'm an Orioles fan.
Thank you for the input, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian. Thank you, Brian.
Orioles fan down there,
I
folks.
love this so much. Brian's gonna be the most he's the best on this show now.
They
Yeah.
have the number 1 catcher still.
Okay.
Adley,
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Isn't it Rush?
Yeah.
It's a
Rutschman.
19-year-old catcher in beside him. He's like 6'7".
Oh.
No, Adley's
Nice.
already up.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
But what I was going to get
So
into,
fun.
the Orioles there are 2 outcomes that I could see here. One, they got rid of Burns and they signed Morton because it's a cheap arm that they're going to have to get rid of in a year. And so they're making way to pay he's walking away. They're making money.
Brian's gone.
They're allowing space and cap for them to go out and get their young stars who are going to leave in a few years. Because think about it, they're all going to be leaving at the same time. So that's going to be a lot of money considering what, Juan Soto did. If the Orioles, win a World Series in a year or two, when those guys leave, they're going to be asking for a lot more than what Juan Soto did this year. So either they're saving up for their young stars or it's just really poor management. So I honestly don't know.
I think, they remind me of, kind of how the Astros were in 2015, 2016, right before, they had a lot of good prospects coming up. I think they just need to go ahead and make that big signing. In 2017, we made that trade, got Verlander, won the World Series. I don't want to hear any backlash on that. I think the Orioles, this is their win now time. They have those really good young guys. They need to capitalize on that by getting some veteran talent in there. I mean, if they wait until these guys are older, they're still going to be the same guys. They're going to spend money on them, and then they still are going to have the other holes in their lineup. So I feel like now is their time to buy some pieces and try to win, but it's not happening, and it's upsetting.
Yeah, looking at the roster, if you look at if you look at everything but the rotation, you would think they're going all in. You look at that rotation and you question what exactly is their motive.
Yeah.
Are they going all in? Or are they saving up for their position guys, their rookies that are going to come up?
I think they are, because that's a good thing to do with Morton. If you want to give him a 1-year deal, and then you're like, we're just going to spend a lot of money next year.
This is the thing about the Orioles,
No
though.
long-term deals.
Morton's 3rd in their rotation. I don't think that's
a
right.
bad
That's
third.
bad.
That's bad.
That's really bad. And if this was a buy or sell, and the Orioles general management was the speaking point, I am selling them for $2 in a bag of chips right now because why is Charlie Morton your 3rd
2 grains
pitcher?
of Ben Rice, yeah, exactly.
Bro, it's a better rotation than the Mets.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Don't teams keep 6 pitchers
Yeah,
on
but
the
the-
roster
Yeah.
usually?
Yeah.
He's like $3 million, make him your 6th guy. Someone gets hurt, you bring in Morton. That's how I'd say he's at this point in his career.
He's
a
also
third
he's
pitcher.
expendable. That's what they
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's not. He's
So
not.
frustrating.
And one of the questions was what does the Braves rotation look like? And I feel like the Braves rotation,
look better.
it's still a strong rotation, like Sale, Strider when he comes back, Schwellenbach, Lopez, and then I would rather have a young guy like AJ Smith-Shawver, like one of those,
I completely
fighting
agree.
for
Absolutely.
a 5th spot than Morton blocking it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I really still do like our rotation. I still do think we're gonna get a pitcher before season starts. I think
Absolutely,
we'll
me
pick
too,
up
one.
someone. So we'll have like everyone fighting out for the 5th spot. I think it'll be fine. And then Strider is projected to come back within the May. So I think it's still a good rotation. We still have a good team. I don't understand what our general manager is doing because we have made 0 moves other than Brian De La Cruz. Who is that? An outfielder.
Oh my God, I love Brian.
I don't.
He's getting MLB the show.
We've got to get.
Just
someone.
real fast, yeah. I got no notes, but I do have. There's just too much to cover for a game. I got a little mini game for y'all, because obviously,
Yes.
above all, Charlie Morton is old.
Yeah,
Okay.
mini games.
LeBron James was a junior in high school when Charlie Morton was drafted.
Jesus.
All right. So we're gonna play
Why?
3 truths and a lie. I'm gonna name 4 people. All right, and one of them is older than Charlie Morton. Okay. The 3 are younger. All right.
Yeah.
I got you.
Gotcha.
Dwayne Wade, Seth Rogen, Britney Spears, Macaulay Culkin. All right. So we have Miami Heat NBA star Dwayne Wade. We have comedian, I believe, Seth Rogen, 90s teen pop star Britney Spears, and Home Alone kid, Kevin from Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin. Who's older than Charlie Morton?
Is Spears?
Macaulay Culkin.
That's your Culkin, Spears,
Shoot. I don't know. Home Alone kid?
Culkin. All right. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade? Macaulay Culkin is the only one that.
It's 'cause I've
Dwayne
been-
Wade is 4 years younger than Charlie
Home
Morton.
kid.
I've been like
Yeah.
all over that.
I don't.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to our next big signing was Teoscar Hernandez, who went back to the Dodgers on a 3-year, $66 million contract.
Can we talk about?
Can we talk about how you're wrong?
What?
Britney Spears is 43, Charlie Morton's 41.
Oh wait. My bad, y'all. No, I'm sorry.
That's right,
No,
too.
I'm sorry, y'all. Dang it. All right, never mind.
Hey,
My
hey.
fault. My fault.
Okay, well, trick question. It was two truths,
I
2
didn't
lies.
mean it. I don't know where I
Dude,
saw.
just like
I
this.
was looking at celebrities that are younger than you think, and I bet the article was just a year old.
Yeah,
So that's
probably.
my fault.
Ah, you're good.
Anyways.
I should have.
Well-
My bad.
Yes, Teoscar Hernandez, back to the Dodgers, 3 years, 66.
Can we talk about how they have deferred $23 million of his contract? Why?
Classic Dodgers move, defer the money, we'll pay you later.
Why?
Why is this
They have
allowed?
This needs
Why
to
is this
stop.
allowed?
There needs to be a deferred money cap.
I've been saying that too. Oh my gosh. I can't stand the deferred money. They do it with
Yes.
everyone. They did it with Edmund for like his minimal contract. Like, we're deferring everything now?
Right.
Why?
It's,
You know?
I don't know why it's allowed. It's so weird. Yeah.
I feel like there's really not too much to say about this signing. You know, he
Cool, good for
obviously
them.
wants to be back with the Dodgers. They won the World Series. He had a good year last year. The Dodgers want him back. If the Dodgers want it, they get it.
There really is nothing.
So-
He said he's gonna do everything in his power to come back. And then cool, good for him. It's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like
great, awesome.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff praising him for being so like he gave up his free agent leverage to say he wants to be a Dodger so quickly. It kind of reminds me of like a little kid on Christmas that's really thankful that's getting like a lot of PlayStations and like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
computers
He
and
just
stuff. And it's
won a
like,
World
look
Series.
at how polite he is
you
thanking
know?
his grandma when he gets like a boat. You know, like it's a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Hey, Eddie Rosario did the same thing. He, in 2021, he was like, I want to be a Brave, sign me back, and they signed him, and then he was trashed. So maybe that's what Hernandez does.
Honestly, the only
Yeah, I
thing.
hope in 2030, I hope it ages, and like in 2030, the Dodgers are going to be paying $1 billion to play.
And they
this.
can't
I mean, they
really-
just didn't win a
they'll
World
get
Series.
there.
It was just
they,
all
they
a
will
disaster.
get there. With
Not allowed to
I
win a
feel
World
like,
Series
in-
5
at
years.
what year are the Dodgers gonna like go bankrupt or something?
No,
because
literally.
they have so
Never.
much deferred
Never.
money.
We should
You know, it's
boycott-
probably gonna be like in 30, 20
Boycott
years.
Boycott the Dodgers. Boycott the Dodgers. Yeah, we're gonna ruin the Dodgers. All right. Yeah.
I'm down.
Let's start a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna be a 30 for
Seriously
30
though,
someday.
I'll
It's
lead
gonna
This
start-
that.
trade,
it's gonna
there's
start with
nothing bad
this.
about it. It's just a good. It's a
Yeah.
good pick.
It's a good signing.
Good
It's
for
a good
them.
signing.
It's
There's
frustrating.
really nothing else to say.
Well, moving on from signings, now we have a few trades to talk about. First, we're going to talk about Kyle Tucker being traded to the Cubs. He was traded to the Cubs, and the Astros got back infielder Isaac Paredes, right-handed pitcher Hayden Wazinski, and third baseman Cam Smith.
Are the
So-
Cubs doing a Tigers
Yeah, what are they
of
doing?
2024?
What
Are
are the
they-
Cubs doing?
Y'all don't like this trade for the Cubs?
I don't.
I think I have a good idea of what the Cubs are doing. I think.
Oh,
have a
I
good
like
idea.
it.
Well, I think if we're going to talk about what the Cubs are doing, we have to just go
I
ahead and
thought
talk
Tigers
about the,
were good.
the
I'm
second
talking- yeah,
signing.
just go ahead
They
and
think
talk
I'm
about
talking about Tigers
Yeah.
bad. I'm talking about Tigers
I
good.
got you.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like a
I did
potential Tigers run into the playoffs right
No.
now.
Oh,
So-
no, that's
I'm
not-
talking about the
They just
potential
did.
That's not what they're
because
No.
they have
Screwball,
half
screwball.
Tucker, Suzuki if he doesn't leave batting, and then their rotation is Jamison Tyon. They have a
Here.
pitcher that went 15-2.
But before we get too much deep into what the Cubs are doing, let's talk about the second trade they made so we can fully talk about
yeah,
and dive into all of it.
whatever.
So the Yankees also got Cody Bellinger, and they traded Cody Poteet for that. which
That's
is-
very bad. Very bad for the Cubs.
That is
For the
a-
Cubs.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're signing Tucker and then trading Bellinger. Like, if we imagine they had Tucker and Bellinger in that outfield.
That would
would
be-
have
that would be
been
a good
fantastic
outfield.
But instead, they basically just traded Tucker for Bellinger. And
How I think about
I
it
love
is,
it.
is they have like they have a pretty good amount of outfield depth, but one thing that was really lacking last year was their bullpen. They were, kind of ranked, in the middle of the pack. It was a pretty mediocre bullpen. So I think bringing in Cody Petit could maybe help that out and make it more of an elite bullpen. So, I mean, I could see that being their positive. They're like, okay, we'll replace Cody Bellinger with Kyle Tucker and improve our bullpen a little bit at the same time. But it's still a very odd trade.
To me, to be honest, outside of the Braves, you could call this probably the worst offseason for a team this year,
I swear I saw
because the Cubs are getting rid of all of their, of course, getting rid of Cody Bellinger and then signing Kyle Tucker of all people. If they would have kept both of them, that would be a dynamic outfield. However, you get rid of Bellinger for Tucker. I don't understand that. But the only thing that I could see them doing is they are rebuilding. They are not going to contend, and they're going to try to trade house. They are going to build around Tucker.
Yeah,
That's the only thing.
Tucker's young enough. He's 27.
Tucker, I think, is young enough for them to build around.
27.
But I mean,
because
they went all in on Dansby Swanson 2 years ago.
they went all in Dansby Swanson, but let's be real. You're not getting much if you're going all in on Dansby Swanson.
I know,
Even
but
as a
like,
Braves fan, I love
but like
him.
they had the
a lot better than
mindset
Dansby
that we're
Swanson.
going to go all in on Dansby Swanson because he's going to help build up our team. I wouldn't think if they're thinking about rebuilding in a couple years.
If they're
They were gonna
getting
go-
rid of Bellinger, who helped the team as a whole,
Kyle Tucker's better than
getting rid of him and then getting
He is better
Oh,
than
yeah.
Dansby
Oh, yeah.
was even when he signed. Yeah, absolutely.
That's definitely not the
they are
question.
clearing house either to, they're going to stink it up and they're going to get a high pick in the draft, or they're trying to make room for just a whole complete rebuild. And I think that's what they're doing. Because even when you look at the roster last year, the year before that, and even, this year's roster, nothing really stands out to you as, oh, these guys can take us all the way. It's mostly like, oh, they might be on the outside of the playoff, knocked out in the wild card, and call it a day. There was no one on that roster that could really flash you besides Cody Bellinger and Dansby Swanson, maybe. So the only thing that I can see them is they're going to trade the house. They're not going to contend for a few years. They're going to rebuild, and they're going to build around Tucker.
I mean, it makes sense because if you look, they're not making it out of the National League right now.
No.
Like, much less the NL Central with the Brewers. Like, the Brewers got that division on lock, I would say, right now. So, I mean, it would make sense for them to rebuild, but I just don't. With these signings that they've done, it just doesn't.
I mean,
really.
first of
like
all,
that.
there's no way
What was
they're
that face?
rebuilding around Kyle Tucker unless they re-sign him because he only has the rest of this year.
Yeah, they signed him. They traded him for 1 year.
Yeah,
Control.
I was looking at the Cubs depth chart earlier today, and they have some really good players within it. I think really where their biggest hole is though is at third base, and they did just trade away their third
Very nice
baseman
at third base for
and
them.
their third base prospect Cam Smith. Something that I saw swirling around today, which we're gonna get into later, is that Alex Bregman
That's my
could
prediction.
potentially go to the Cubs.
Spoiler, that's my prediction.
So, I mean, I think that could actually make the Cubs a contender, is filling in that hole at third base.
No,
I mean,
I think they are.
I think
It would be. That would be.
I
That
think
would
it
be
could be
good.
interesting.
I think that'd be
Putting
good.
Bregman at third, I do not think would put them over the edge.
I think
that's,
it would.
I think that's going to make them contend with the Brewers for the NL
Yes,
Central.
yes.
But do
And
I
not
think
the
that's going
National
to get
League.
them a playoff spot?
Well, it would
I
get
think
them a
that's their
playoff
vision,
spot, but like nothing like
I think,
too
okay,
crazy.
just a devil's advocate a little. I think the vision is like, because Cody Bellinger, how old is he? I know he's older than Kyle Tucker.
30-something?
32.
They're like, we have a
maybe.
guy in our 30s. Okay, we're gonna get a little younger. We're gonna get a little more youthful. We're gonna bring in Kyle Tucker, and then with Kyle Tucker, this is the rationale I don't agree with, but I think it's what they're thinking. Bring in Kyle Tucker. We're gonna build around him. We can compete with the Brewers. We're gonna beat the Brewers, and there will be a more attractive free agent destination. We're a big market. We can bring in free agents as long as we can win our division, and Kyle Tucker helps us do that. I think that's the idea. I just disagree because I think Bellinger and Tucker, they can afford that and they can do that, and they would have been better with both of them. And I think they can beat the Brewers with both of them. I think right now I'd still bet on the Brewers to take care of business in this division
Absolutely.
too. So that's the rationale, but I disagree with it for sure.
The Cubs, there's too much left in the air and too much uncertainty with
I
what
don't know
they've
what
done in the
whiteboards.
offseason. So it's
And like also
difficult.
like Dansby Swanson, Kyle Tucker now. Okay. They also signed Craig Counsell for their new manager. Like they went all in on Craig Counsell. So like they're in the mindset that they can compete, I think.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, obviously, I don't think they're going to be the best team in baseball
No.
if they sign Bregman.
No.
Nowhere close, obviously. But I think they do have a real
compete
chance of competing.
in the
You know,
in the
there's always those teams that have good players. They perform well. They sneak into the playoffs. They get hot at the right times. There's always those teams, and I could see the Cubs being
And
one
that's
of them.
my point, that I believe they can be sneaky little contenders
Yeah.
with Kyle Tucker and
completely
the little
agree.
assets they have.
I could see it, but the likelihood of that happening is
Absolutely.
slim to none,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, now moving away from our deals and on to our no deals, players that have still yet to sign in free agency. The first player we have to talk about is Pete Alonso. Guys, where do we think he
Wait,
is going?
I just want to say I had Mets as of yesterday, but things have come out today saying
Oh.
that it's being like farther. They're getting farther and farther apart. So I don't think it's going to be the Mets now. But
Really?
I have no idea where he's going to
Honestly, this is probably the
I think the Mets.
go.
All right. Yes.
That's what I put, but I don't know after today.
My marker's
I don't think
fine.
so. Because I mean,
I gave him an ultimatum.
I
I
just
It's
used
it's
it.
crazy because like I saw Alonso proposed a short-term deal to the Mets, and they still said no to him. So I just don't think they want him.
Mets can afford him.
I mean,
$10, they can't afford him.
$10.
But I mean,
That's about all they can afford.
I just don't think they might just not want him.
If the Mets do not want
He's
him,
toxic, right? Wasn't that his whole thing?
He's
Or
not
was it someone
toxic.
else?
He's been declining. Like
Okay.
crazy. Like he
Okay, someone
had that crazy rookie season, and then ever since
It's
then
just
it's just been
been
going down
downward,
until that one like
but
3-run home
we
run
were
in the playoffs.
talking about this. Obviously, he had his crazy rookie season, and he hasn't been as great
fun.
since then. But he's still been a good, productive player. And I don't think that he's someone that the Mets wouldn't want on their team. He's a homegrown player from the Mets.
Fan favorite.
Yeah, he's a fan favorite. I think the Mets want him back. You know, there's some pride and and having a player, you know, play there their whole career, like you raised them from the farm. I mean, I think he's going back to the Mets. I think Mark Vientos needs to go back to third base, and then, you know, they can send Brett Beatty down to the AAA.
Do you think
Okay,
the Mets?
no.
Wait, do
Wow.
you think the Mets should
Take
want
him.
or do want him? Like,
They
I think
need
the Mets
him.
don't want him, which is stupid.
They
That makes
need
sense.
him.
I think yes.
The Mets-
I think the Mets should sign him.
I got you,
I don't
I got
know
you.
if the Mets are going.
Oh, yeah,
to sign him or
absolutely, they
want him.
should.
I think they should.
it's like I said earlier.
Because I agree with everything
Yeah.
you're saying. I just don't think that's
I
the
mean,
Mets'
the
interest
only
right now.
thing is, like Bregman said, that he would play second or first base. So they need a first baseman no matter what. I mean, maybe Bregman goes and plays first base for the Mets. I
Please,
really hate
no.
saying that.
It's
but,
like I
Actually,
said
I'm not
earlier.
scared of that.
But I mean, whether it's Alonso or not, they need a first baseman so that Vientos can go back to third base and Brett Beatty can have a few more years in AAA.
It's like I said earlier, the Mets, they hurt themselves with that Soto pickup. They really hurt themselves by paying him that much. The question is,
That's not.
if the only amount they have left and they're not able to pay Alonso, is that what it is? Is that the reason why they're not getting him, is because Alonso
to be.
wants a good bit and they can't pay him because they paid too much to a guy, frankly, they didn't need, and honestly, is not worth that much at all, in my opinion. The Mets have hurt themselves with this Soto trade because they actually can't fix the problems that plague the team. You need a pitcher. You need an arm. You should have been more after Corbin Burns and
Charlie
Pete
Morton.
Alonso. Charlie Morton.
No, not really. I was
Literally-
joking. Sorry.
Honestly, Charlie Morton might be the best guy on the roster if they take him. Let's be real.
Whoa.
Their rotation.
The rotation.
I was like, roster?
Not roster. but
You heard it here
rotation.
first. Charlie Morton is better than Juan Soto.
Oh, you're getting into
No,
Ben Rice
give him
territory
$7
now.
million.
Now we're
Okay.
talking Ben Rice over here.
I misspoke. I misworded.
Guys, let's take it like
Daniel Jones,
3
Patrick
levels
Mahomes?
down.
Okay, I misworded that. He'll be the best guy in the rotation if they took him
I
because
really attacked you. I'm sorry about that.
I deserve it. Don't worry. But like looking at their rotation, it's ugly. It is legit. Probably the
Griffin
I mean,
Canning,
it's
Frankie
bad.
Montas,
It
Clay
is-
Holmes,
I know Clay Holmes.
Kodai Senga, playoff hero.
Shout
The
out.
Mets legit ruined their chances at honestly making a repeat to the NLCS. They really did. Going after a guy they did not need that everyone says he overpaid. He's not worth that much, people. Let's be realistic.
Well, now they
He
can
could've-
make a lot on jersey sales, so I mean.
He could have.
If
They
all they
could have
want is money,
split. They could have split that Soto contract between Alonso, Burns, and maybe even Bregman. They could have done that.
Yeah.
I'll make a
that's
prediction
way
right now.
better.
I want to say something about
And it would've been 15
Alonso.
years, too.
I want to say something as Alonso as a character right now. When nobody wants to give you a big deal, you lower your standards, right? It's like a relationship. You don't think you're going to date like a supermodel, like a.
I am.
He does.
Well, okay, I was joking. Sorry. I was joking. Yeah.
If a woman gives you a lot of attention and cares about you, you have to go there, push or shove. The Mets obviously care about their star.
No.
I would say.
No.
I would say.
No.
I disagree with
He
everything.
has
you're saying.
represented
If
the
they're not
Mets
even
for
taking a short-term
how many years? How many years has he represented the Mets?
7.
He's a nice guy,
Wait.
and he's just not attractive
6.
enough. the attraction has to be there. Like it's still.
He's a two-time.
Still gotta be a sexy player.
He's a
you know?
two-time
Yeah, exactly.
home run derby champion. Hello.
Not-
Hello.
He's
Oh my
not the
God.
guy that they thought he would be, but yet again, he's still a good player for them. He's not the best
And
in the
he's
world.
respected.
Yeah, and he's not what
respected.
they expected him to be. But yet again, he's putting up some better numbers on the team. Like he's putting up good numbers. You
put
can't
like
get
5
rid of a guy because you're expecting him to be the star of the show when you go and sign Soto or anyone else. Alonso is a good ball player for them. They need to keep him because what are you gonna do? Make Mark Mientos and Brett Beatty go from third to first?
Sounds fantastic.
Correct me if I'm
you
wrong.
want to win a series? Good luck.
I hate the Mets. I hate Pete Alonso, and it makes me so happy that he's not going to be getting the deal he wants.
Yeah,
He's
correct
not.
me if I'm
Make
wrong.
dumb
Like,
decisions.
I feel like we all agree the Mets should sign Alonso, and we
Yes.
just have different opinions on how much we trust the Mets to make the right
Right.
choice.
When-
I think that's where our disagreement is right
When
now.
the only good players you have on your team are Lindor and Soto, you need another
You need someone else.
You should, like, you need a
Correct.
middle class,
another
you know?
star.
Here's the question: who's the next guy beneath Soto? Lindor.
Acuna? Luis Angel Acuna or
Luis Angel, yeah,
Luis
probably.
Angel.
Yeah, and that guy's
The
probably
National
not even
Anthem.
top. Yeah, and that guy's
that's basically the same guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, now moving on to our next no deal, we have Roki Sasaki. Everyone wants to know where he's going to sign. What do y'all think?
Well, it's down between the Padres and the Dodgers and the Blue Jays.
Right,
but
the Blue Jays,
We
of
know the Blue Jays aren't getting him.
Oh, Love Lord.
And just like
I
a
knew
note,
it. I knew you were going to do that.
Sasaki,
I hate you.
Sasaki has to sign.
I didn't do this part of the script though.
Sasaki has to sign by 5 p.m. Eastern time on January 23rd.
Please.
Or
Not
else
the
he will be
I have
going
advisor
back
appointment then.
to Japan.
So, okay, you go.
I just said please not the Dodgers. I don't have much. I just said Jackson will talk a lot on this one.
So, are you finishing?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So I have
Are you finished?
so I have him going to the Padres because he's been having meetings with teams recently, and reports have come out saying that he is more of a quiet guy, more serious, which have had people thinking like maybe he wants to be in a smaller market where he's not the center of attention. That's what's been coming out. But in that case, will not be the Dodgers because big market, he will be all over the media. That's just not his jam, it sounds like. So
Listen.
Padres for me because Padres are a smaller market. Plus, he idolized Yu Darvish as a player when he was younger. So that'd be a great veteran for him.
Personally, I think that he is also going to the Padres. I mean, the Dodgers, they have Shohei Ohtani, and if he plays for the Dodgers, he is forever going to play in Shohei Ohtani's shadow. And, like, if I was a player, I would not want there. I would want to go somewhere that I could, truly make a name for myself, and I think he could do that with the Padres. The Padres are still a really good team, and I think if they sign someone like Roki Sasaki, I mean, they're already World Series contenders right now, but I think, they have a legitimate chance of taking over the Dodgers if they sign Roki Sasaki, and I think it would kind of be like a fun little, like,
would be so
rivalry, like
fun.
Sasaki versus Ohtani, like, both in California. I think that would be so fun.
Hey,
Okay, I will just go into
got it.
my thing real quick. I think it's going to Dodgers. If you don't want to be the center of attention, go to the Dodgers. You got Ohtani, Freeman. You can name the entire roster. I think he'd be like the 16th guy that they care about there. So if you want to be not well known in any team,
I can
go to
name you the
Dodgers.
roster.
If
See how
you're
gross
if
it
you're
is.
a top 10 recruit or a top 10 free agent,
Thank
and you don't want to be the center of attention, go to the Dodgers. There's like 14 guys ahead of you that are going to get way more attention than you'll ever
Only
get.
person
Low-key
would be
rookie.
Ohtani. Only person he would be Ohtani.
That was kinda
At
funny,
the
guys.
moment,
Come on.
if he goes to the Dodgers, he'll be 1 or 2 behind Ohtani.
Blake Snell.
No.
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 He's boring. He's good. He's more boring. He might be
Blake
more
Snell,
valuable, but he's
that's
more boring.
laughable.
Landon Neck. No, I'm kidding.
And also, it's not about the money because if it was about the money, he would have waited for his free agency later.
I just feel like
Tyler
Dodgers
Conforto?
just control the Japanese market and like with
Or just
a
the
lot of-
West. I think it's the Western.
They really
Coast.
just
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they kind of take over the West
because,
Coast.
the Padres, they have Darvish. So, I mean,
West Coast just tries.
I love what this team does year after year after year. Okay, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Blue Jays.
Just look at what Brian's
the
doing.
Blue
right now.
Jays.
Brian's ashamed of
The
you.
Blue Jays log on to Tinder and they just swipe right and they're not looking at all. They're just swiping and swiping. Are you from NASA? Because you're out of this world. I'm like a Rubik's Cube. The more you play with me, the harder I get.
You know what they do? You know what they do? They get none of them. They get none of those players. They swipe right and they get rejected every single time. They get rejected. It's just rejection
anyone
after
catch
rejection
what
after
he just said?
I
rejection.
got that.
Hi. Due to some things that were said, we had to cut this portion of the episode out. We apologize for the inconvenience, and thank you for watching Tigervision. Now back to the show.
What are we talking about?
That's like saying you're overdue for a supermodel.
Roki Sasaki.
He doesn't
okay?
even know who
Roki
we're talking
Sasaki.
about, and he says that.
The Blue Jays are going to get someone someday, and
Terrible
when they
take.
do, I'm going to be on the winning side.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next no deal, and that is Alex Bregman. Guys, where do we think he is going to sign?
I'm gonna start crying.
Same.
Not because of that. So I have the Cubs because honestly, I just see it happening. I can just envision it, but it's definitely not going to be the Astros. I'm sorry, because they just signed Walker and they just traded for that guy. So that's going to be their new corner infield, I'm afraid. And then he rejected their 6-year, $156 million offer. So he's not going back to Houston. I apologize.
No, I agree.
Stop.
I don't think that Bregman's going back to Houston, and honestly, with the way the market is going, I'm not sure I want Bregman back in Houston. And I love Bregman, but
Too much money.
I mean, yeah, it's just so much money. And I'll go ahead and say my prediction. I think that he's going to the Blue Jays. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to pull through and actually sign somebody. But here's my thinking. Alex Bregman has been linked to the Blue Jays, and he has been given, I think, from the Cubs, he's been given one from the Blue Jays, maybe one from the Red Sox, of 3-year deals with a bunch of opt-outs. And that's not what he wants. He wants a long-term deal. And so I'm thinking that potentially once the Blue Jays are finally out on Roki Sasaki, because they're not signing Sasaki, I think maybe they could give more money and more years to Bregman and sign him for a deal that he would want.
I like that, Jackson.
So,
I like that,
you
Katie.
know,
Thank you.
We think the
Okay,
same with
good
this.
job,
We
Katie.
have the same mind, for sure.
so you want to know
I don't think so.
so looking at the teams.
Wouldn't go that far.
So yeah, stop. Yeah.
Hold up your board. What is it?
hold on,
I'm
let's
all
see
I'm saying.
it.
So-
Oh, no, yeah, sorry. Paint
let
a
me
picture,
have
paint a
it.
picture.
Looking at the teams that are probably going to sign him, I've heard a lot of the news about the Blue Jays, the Diamondbacks, even the Cubs being a good spot for him because I've seen a lot of articles with those teams attached. I honestly think the best pick, if he wants to win now and he also wants to get a good contract with a young team, go to the Mariners.
Oh God.
I would go to the
I don't
Mariners.
hate it.
Because it's not a bad
They'd
spot for
be
him.
better than us in the division then. They'd be
Better than Blue Jays.
they'd pass us too.
It's
Sorry,
not
Katie.
a bad spot for an older veteran guy to go to a team of younger guys that, small shot in the AL, but yet again, they could make a big splash because they do have, kind of young stars to go do that. I think it's a good fit for him.
I don't
think
like
it's a good. I think it's a good change of scenery. They're probably going to pay him what he wants because they need, a veteran guy out there of any kind.
He's gonna make too much, and they'd be someone that would do.
Who's the other stars they have besides Julio Rodriguez?
Do they have
George Kirby.
Yuri Perez? Who's the Mariners pitcher?
They have
I just know like Cal Raleigh, like
Luke Raleigh.
Why can I not think of anyone on the Mariners?
exactly.
No,
That's
you
why
don't
I'm
know.
not
They
really
were,
feeling this
they
one.
were very relevant.
Wasn't Brian De La Cruz there last year?
Okay.
Wasn't Brian De La Cruz last
Oh
year?
yeah, they have a
last year?
Rosarena. They have a Rosarena. They have a
Oh,
wait,
yeah,
I'm kind of liking it now.
Really?
I kind of forgot about that.
Their
Good for
outfield
you.
right now is considered of Randy Rosarena, Julio Rodriguez, and Victor Robles.
I kind of like it, but
Yeah, Brian De La Cruz
It's-
is a Mariners.
it's
No, he
a
was a
young
Mariners of
team
2023. I'm sorry.
that they need a veteran presence on. You go get Bregman, you might be able to pull it together.
I like the Mariners and the Cubs then.
Yuri Perez is a Mariners pitcher. My bad. Yeah.
Pitcher?
Yuri
Okay, yeah.
Yuri Perez is a Marlins pitcher, not the Mariners.
Also, Kiss.
I was thinking of the
Yeah,
Marlins.
yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
he is a good player.
I was thinking of Miami. That's my fault, y'all.
The Mariners have
Yeah,
a
just-
shot. They have a young team. They still got to work some things out,
I don't
but
want the Mariners to have a
they
shot.
could be a good one. Because
Jackson, I don't hate that take at all because a lot of these players are going to random teams like Corbin Burns, who
Yeah, that was really
that was
weird.
wild.
Yeah, we will.
But I have the Cubs because They need that position, and when you need food, you eat the food so you don't starve. So they're going to take Alex Bregman.
I do like it.
I like that. I like that. take.
Do you like that?
I do like the Cubs getting him. I just like I picture it in my mind.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
mean,
like
I
a
have
perfect
Blue
place
Jays
to
as my first thought. Cubs as the second.
Yeah, me and Katie get it. We're on the same wavelength here.
I don't want to agree with that. I really,
honestly,
not after some of the things I've heard you say in this episode. I'm not
Like
gonna
5
agree
minutes
with that.
ago.
She's fighting it. We're the same.
Okay,
We're going down
well,
the same career path.
Now moving on to our next segment, buy or sell. So we're going to introduce a few new signings while also having some buy or sells to go along with them. So first we have Justin Verlander, who signed with the Giants on a 1-year, $15 million contract. So now he is not going to retire as an Astro. So this poses the question, buy or sell? Is Justin Verlander going to go into the Hall of Fame as an Astro?
I'll be so quick so I can start. Just buy. When I saw the question, I was like, who did Verlander play for besides the Astros?
Tigers.
And I had to look it up. And so that's what made me say
Dog.
buy. Because Verlander, I think of Astros.
Sell. And I am an Astros fan,
Sell?
and
Okay.
I don't know how you have not heard of Verlander before the Astros, because
This is
with
bad.
the Tigers,
This is bad.
Verlander before the Astros was even arguably better.
Oh, I don't
with
really
the
watch
Tigers-
baseball. Yeah, okay.
Verlander played for 13 seasons. He had a Cy Young with them, won an MVP with them,
Okay.
and had a Rookie of the Year with them.
Triple crown, 2
Yeah.
no-hitters,
Yeah.
2-time win
So he's going
leaders.
to the Hall of Fame as a Tiger?
Yes.
I say
Absolutely should.
I would say no club.
You wrote.
No.
Yeah, I think he's going. I
would
think
say
he's
no
going in
club.
with no logo.
I
forgot
I
about
say
that.
buy with him going in as an Astro. I think the 2 World Series are really might like push it over the edge. Like, cause he won.
Two.
He's won 2 Cy Youngs with them and
Right.
2 World Series. So I think that definitely begs for an argument. But like, definitely a lot of accolades in Detroit, but also really good accolades, but less in Houston.
Yes,
So
and like he does have 2 Cy Youngs as an Astro, but he also has the MVP as a Tiger.
Yeah,
and
that's-
that's
And he's
what
a
kind
triple
of
crown.
evens it out for me. Yeah, and the
it,
triple
it
crown.
definitely
Two
it's,
worlds. That's
You
what
know,
I thought. Like, it's
being an
easy.
MVP as a
Serious.
pitcher, I think that
That is
says
impressive.
a lot.
That's tough.
It's
That's
very
tough.
impressive, and I think that's what evens it
yeah.
out. I think if you took the MVP out, I would go 100% Astros, but with that MVP in there for the Tigers, I'm thinking no.
and he was also there longer.
Yeah, he was.
A little bit.
I mean, like
I would-
double.
I hope Freddie Freeman goes in as a Brave.
I'll be
He
so
will.
sad if he goes.
I
as a Tiger.
absolutely.
It might be no cap though.
If he goes,
No,
no, I'll be
he-
really mad if he
he'll
goes.
go
no
in as
cap.
Brave.
Yeah,
think he will.
he goes in
Brave.
as a Brave.
I think he will.
He won World Series.
There's a small part of me that wants him to kind of like not have another good
World Series.
October.
Won AL
because I feel like
MVP.
it's scarier.
AL. Freddie Freeman won AL.
Oh.
You idiot.
I can't.
God, I didn't know we were
can't
talking
with
about the
this
worst
Listen,
player in the
guy.
MLB.
I can't with this guy.
I'll just say this: Justin Verlander needs to go in as a Tiger because of what Detroit did for him and what he did for that team. Because
Fully agree.
basically, after he left, they kind of died. Literally, once Verlander left
Died?
the Tigers, they pretty much went in a ditch for years
Yeah,
until
they
Screwball
were
brought them
bad.
back out alive again.
True.
So for what he did for Detroit rather than Houston, yes, he won several World Series with the Astros, but yet again, he wasn't the only big piece that helped them get there.
Yeah,
when
in
you look
fact-
at those old Tigers rosters, he was the guy. I
In
mean,
fact-
he won an MVP with them.
He didn't have a World Series win until this most recent World Series. So actually, he was like not helpful in the World Series at all until recently. So like, do those 2 World Series like under his resume as the Astros like even really count? Like they do, but you know.
Let's be real. Justin Verlander was never the hero for the Astros. He was never the main guy.
Yeah, definitely not in the World Series. Like ALCS, that's a different story. But World Series, he was bad.
If you want to be known for a team, be the hero. If you want to go into the Hall of Fame, go for the team that you were the hero, you were the guy for, not the other guy that helped them win.
But I think it is something to be said is that the players don't get to choose.
Yeah.
We're
So-
fully ruling out the Giants.
Or the Mets.
We're the Mets.
I mean, now that you mention
are-
it.
What about the Mets?
Oh, okay. You know
Mets?
what?
It's all
I
about
think
the
he's gonna
Mets,
have
baby.
half
It's all about
season.
the Mets.
a split
Mets
logo,
Giants.
half Giants, half.
Oh my God! Like
That
that.
sounds like an NFL receiver.
That
would do.
6-month
Yeah.
duo of him and Scherzer on the Mets, legendary.
When Scherzer was
Fantastic.
Legendary
good.
for nothing.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Oh
miss Max
my
Scherzer.
gosh. Okay.
I hate Max
Well, now
Scherzer.
moving
I
on.
just-
Weirdo.
Clock that the
To-
Mets got farther without those
gay.
two than with them.
Now moving
Money
on.
doesn't buy everything.
Try it one more time and then you're
try
good.
Now moving on.
3 more times.
Now moving on to our next signing that we're going to talk about, and also buy or sell. Okay, let's put the erasers down and not throw them at each other.
Your child.
We are going to talk about Corbin Burnes going to the Diamondbacks on a 6-year, $210 million deal. So our buy or sell for this is the Diamondbacks will compete in the NL West.
No, they're not competing with the Dodgers for first place. Absolutely not. They're not competing with the Padres. They're the second best team in that division. It's going to be a dogfight between them and the Giants.
I agree. So same things that Riley said.
What's right there?
As much as I think the Padres are probably gonna have a little bit of a down year again because they continually do that every single season. I think the Padres will have an off year, but I still don't think it'll be as Diamondback level. The Diamondbacks had a one year.
Yeah, fluke.
Fluke.
Fluke World Series, worst World Series ever.
It would take I don't know, like every player on the Dodgers and like Padres getting hurt
And dying.
Yeah,
Even have a
literally.
chance.
I think like maybe if like an asteroid comes and like hits both of their stadiums,
Well,
it would
then
it would
the
take.
Diamondbacks would have a chance.
There's kind of fires in LA right now.
Oh, okay.
That's true. It would literally. Yeah,
That was topical. That was a good joke, Katie. That was really good. Really
She meant to do that. She
Yeah,
meant to do
that
that.
was clever. I got it. Yeah, good job. That was a good one.
The only way for the Dodgers to not be top of that division would be a historical breakdown.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That like
Oh, God.
White Sox level.
Please, oh my gosh.
And then they get charged with all of the financial breaches, and then they're in poverty for
Yeah.
the next 10 years.
Yeah,
Ah,
then their
beautiful.
franchise is taking on MLB for 10 years. Yeah, that's
Tax fraud.
I thought y'all would all sell, and I really wanted to write by and be like, the Diamondbacks are diamond back, and slam it down and stuff. But I couldn't.
Well, you're not that cool, so you can't do
No, I
that.
was like, I can either do Blue Jays or I can do Diamondbacks are gonna like beat the Dodgers and stuff. And I was like, I can pick one.
Why would you diamond back?
I was like, I can't. This goes too far even for me.
Yeah,
I can't even troll. I can't even find an angle or anything.
Okay, but, like-
I was researching a little bit, but I couldn't even.
Why did Burnes go there?
I don't know.
6 years, $200 million.
Oh, really?
God could have said that overhead.
Could have, but God wasn't here.
You went for family.
It's that Brian Warner was here to help us
Brian
out with the
Warner.
show.
When God isn't there for you, Brian Warner is. All right.
God.
Top 5 most influential figures: Drew Lock, Brian Warner.
Okay.
What got third? Yeah.
Well, now on to our final buy or sell of the show.
Please.
Hey, we're
The
under an
Yankees-
Ow! You just smashed
The
my
Yankees
finger.
will be more successful than the Mets in 2025.
You've been a little reckless today, right?
Yankees will be more successful than the Mets.
Yes.
Okay. I need an eraser.
Buy.
Your finger.
Why don't you make
You know, we've already talked about this. We've already been over this. The Mets, they signed Juan Soto, and did they really need Juan Soto? No. And did they pay too much money for Juan Soto? Yes. So did they have money to sign players that they need? No. Did the Yankees go and actually make their team better? Yes. And were they better than them last year?
No.
Yes.
I was confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
So therefore, Yankees are still better. I mean,
There is absolutely no world where the Mets and Juan Soto are going to
Win. That's okay.
win. There's absolutely no way that the Yankees are going to have a worse year than the Mets. The Mets fixed nothing. They gained problems. The Yankees, they got rid of their problems. They signed guys that can help. They signed who they needed. The Mets just got more problems because they can't afford anyone.
I think
Like what? The next guy's going to get a $10 salary? A cent a game? A cent an inning, an out.
It's kind of like the roles flipped between the Mets and the Yankees, because now the Mets have the one-star player and they have nothing around them.
that's
it's
a good
like
point.
That's a good
And the
take.
Yankees-
That's a
no
good
rotation.
take.
are doing
That's a good point.
what the Mets are doing because they have all those players
Heat.
around them now.
Sorry. Sorry.
We're dying on the inside here.
Yeah,
Jackson.
I feel like multiple older guys is way better than one guy for $700 million.
I agree.
One guy's not worth that much.
So you don't have Joey Gallo and Aaron Hicks on your team.
Real.
And like also Cole and Fried alone clear their entire rotation. Maybe Cole might even clear their entire rotation, the Mets' entire rotation. And then Judge was also a better player than Soto last year. So like the Yankees literally have an up in stardom, anyways.
They got rid of the second place guy.
He was.
What does it mean to clear a rotation?
Like,
You're better than all of
way
them.
better.
Like if
Better
our
than the
phone buzzed
entire-
and it was Garrett Cole traded for the Mets' entire rotation, we'd be like, good trade for the Mets. Like,
No, it's like one for one.
Honestly.
no, seriously. If the
Might
Mets
be.
traded their entire rotation for Garrett Cole,
Oh yeah,
who
yeah,
wins that trade?
yeah.
Yeah, who
the
wins that
Mets.
trade?
The Mets.
Garrett Cole
Probably
could
the Mets.
The Mets.
Garrett Cole could probably go in a 7-game series, pitch every single game, and probably outscore the Mets by about 20 points.
But it's close.
Yeah, I got you. Okay,
Yeah, and that's
still
sad
so-
that it's
still
close.
So sad.
It's
yes.
sad that it's
that
close.
one guy could almost beat an entire rotation.
Kodai Senga really like puts it back on like the absolute yes, but like take out Kodai Senga, yeah.
If we take
Cole's
out
better.
Yankees and go a little in division, replace it with Braves, are we all still agreeing, or is anyone?
Wait, what?
Like if we say the Braves will be more successful than the Mets
Yes.
next season, we all agree.
Yes.
We're confident.
Yeah.
Phillies and
Absolutely.
Mets have
I
a
think-
way better roster than
I
the
hate
Mets.
how scared I am of the Mets.
Braves?
I'm not supposed to have to think about them. It's supposed to like Braves and Phillies, and you don't even think about the Marlins and the Mets.
What's your argument?
It's different now. I'm thinking about the Mets.
I don't think it's 100% the Braves, but I think it's a lot closer than
Don't
it
call
should
me
be.
yet.
That's what I'm saying too. I
A
agree.
lot closer than it should be, given that they just spent $740 million on
We've done nothing. Yeah.
We're comparing the Braves and Mets rosters right now.
No, all right.
The
You win.
pitching rotation
Better.
shuts it down a little bit. Yeah.
Braves have a
pitching-
better
the pitching-
You have
rotation.
way better rotation.
The first baseman for absolute certain. Matt Olson could probably clear Mark Vientos. They don't have a first baseman.
I was looking
Third
more at the
baseman.
batting rotation.
Still better.
I just wasn't
My
familiar.
point mainly is just like I said, Braves and Phillies, and then the Mariners and Mets are like scraping the bottom of the barrel. That's not necessarily the case
Mariners.
anymore. Marlins. I did it again, but yeah, that's not the case anymore. I think the Mets are a little scrappy and it's a little bit.
I will say this right now: the Mets will finish third in the division and will skip out in the playoffs. I
Okay.
guarantee you.
I would love to see
That's-
that happen.
that's the
I
most
think that would
likely-
be so funny.
Most likely.
Gun
I
to my
mean,
head, that's where I'm leaning.
Phillies,
I'm close.
Phillies and Braves absolutely are going to be winning that.
Phillies and Braves are
We
going to
looked a
be
lot
the
better
ones
than
taking that
Phillies
division.
on paper, too.
Like the Braves do have a better team on paper than the Phillies.
NL East for next year, it'll be the Marlins and
Nationals.
the Nationals at the bottom, way below
Yeah,
everyone
like,
else.
forget about
It'll be
them.
like the Mets in the middle somewhere, like probably a barely above a 500 record, honestly.
That's kinda what I
like
think.
that rotation
Okay, we
is not
agree
going to
on
carry
that.
them that
Yeah.
entire year. I mean, one guy gets on that rotation, you might as well put them in the grave. They're not escaping anything. They're about to waste on Soto.
They're looking for
and then you have like the
4.5
Phillies and the Braves that are
ERAs.
going to take the division by
Like the thing about the Braves are, yeah, like they kind of like declined last season, but you got to think about all the injuries that they had, and like we haven't made any moves this offseason, but we're going to be getting all of those guys that were injured
Yeah.
throughout the season, where they're all going to be coming back. So it's basically like
No, I
signing
mean-
people, making a trade.
We saw our like bottom falling out disaster season.
God.
We're a wild card team.
Nightmare,
You know, like
nightmare
nightmare.
season.
Like the Braves' floor is a wild card team, and I think that was proven
Yeah,
last year.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Braves fell out because they were hurt.
Everyone.
And they still managed to make it into the playoffs.
And I don't,
That's
no
still
one's-
impressive.
If you say floor is barely sneaking into the playoffs and ceiling is winning the World Series, no one's scoffing at that for the
To be honest,
Braves.
the fact that we made the playoffs shows how our entire roster looks than just our starting lineup.
The fact that it took all that for the Phillies to finally win the division.
That's another thing. It's
Yeah.
telling for how the gap is not what it used to be.
Braves-
Very,
The Braves
very
broke, so
Philly.
the Phillies finally won it.
Yeah.
right.
That
the
showed
Bra-
who's the
the
Mara.
entire Braves roster died, and they finally
In your
won the
face.
division.
They finally won
Yeah.
the division and still died in like, the division round.
Oh yeah, exactly. The Phillies were literally first round exits still.
And they still died.
They still died.
Well, do y'all have anything more to say?
Y'all have a good break?
Okay.
Yep. Yep, that's it.
I did.
I had a fun break.
I didn't. Max Fried
All right,
left.
Sorry for trying to talk to y'all. I'm sorry. My bad. All right.
After the show.
I know.
Okay, well, that wraps up for tonight's episode of Touching All Bases. Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Are these teams making the right moves, or are they missing the mark? Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you all next week.